Hello everyone. So today we will study about the receptors. So receptors are nothing but the sensory or afferent nerve endings that terminate in periphery as bare unmyelinated endings or in the form of specialized capsulated structures. So these are nothing but the sensory nerve endings. These receptors they are classified basically into two types. One is the exteroceptors and interoceptors. Exteroceptors are the receptors which give response to the stimuli which are arising from outside the body, and interoceptors these are the receptors which give response to the stimuli which are arising from inside the body. These exteroceptors are again classified into three types: cutaneous receptors or mechanoreceptors, chemoreceptors, and telereceptors. Cutaneous receptors or mechanoreceptors, these are the receptors which give response to the stimuli there on the skin. And these cutaneous receptors are present on the skin and they give the stimuli which are there here. They are usually mechanical in nature, like touch receptor, pressure receptor, pain receptor. That is why they are also called as mechanoreceptors. Chemoreceptors, these are the receptors which give response to the chemical stimuli. For example, taste sensation, the receptors for taste sensation, that is taste buds, receptor for smell sensation, they are the chemoreceptors. Taste and smell sensation, these are the chemical sensations. Telereceptors, these are the receptors which give response to the stimuli which are arising from away from the body. For example, visual receptors or auditory receptors. So these stimuli are arising from outside the body or away from the body. So these receptors are called as telereceptors. Interoceptors, these are the receptors which give response to the stimuli which are arising from inside the body. So there are two types of interoceptors are there: visceroreceptors and proprioceptors. Visceroreceptors, these are the receptors which give response to the stimuli which are originating from the organs, and like stretch receptor. So all these osmoreceptor. So all these are the examples of visceroreceptors. Proprioceptors, these are the receptors which give response to the stimuli which are arising because of change of the position of the body. So these receptors are called as proprioceptors, and these proprioceptors are usually present in the bones, tendons, ligaments, joints. So here you can see some of the diagrams of the receptors. So here again the exteroceptors are classified here. Exteroceptors are classified into three types: cutaneous receptors, chemoreceptors, and telereceptors. Cutaneous receptors, here these are the receptors which are present on the skin and they give response to the mechanical stimuli like touch sensation. The receptors for touch sensation are Meissner corpuscle and Merkel disc. The receptor for pressure sensation are Pacinian corpuscle. Receptor for cold sensation are Ross and bulb. For warm sensation, Ruffini end organ. And for pain sensation, they are free nerve ending. And the chemoreceptors, which give response to the chemical stimuli. The chemical sensations are like taste and bud, taste and smell. The receptors for taste sensation are taste buds, and receptors for smell sensation are olfactory receptors. Telereceptors, these are the receptors which are originating from the outside the body, like visual sensation and hearing sensation. The visual receptors are rods and cones which are situated in retina, and the receptors for hearing are hair cells which are situated in the organ of corti. So this is about the different types of exteroceptors. Then here different types of interoceptors. Interoceptors are basically classified into two types: visceroceptors and proprioceptors. Visceroceptors are situated in the organ, like stretch receptors which are situated in heart and also there in the bronchi and lungs. Baroreceptors, they are situated in the blood vessels. Chemoreceptors are situated in gastrointestinal tract. Osmoreceptors are situated in urinary bladder and brain. Similarly, proprioceptors, which give response to change in the position of body, they are situated like these are the receptors like muscle spindle, which is situated in muscle, Golgi tendon organ, which is situated in tendon and ligament. Pacinian corpuscles are situated in fascia. Free nerve endings are situated in joint. Hair cells, which are situated in vestibular apparatus. So these are the examples of interoceptors. The next thing is about the properties of receptors. The first property of receptor is specificity of response, or it is also called as Muller's law. It means the receptors are specific in their function. One particular receptor will give response to only one particular stimulus. The receptor for pain sensation will give response only to the pain sensation. The receptor for vibration sensation will give response only to the sensation of vibration. So they are specific in their function. So this property is known as Muller's law. Second one is adaptation, or it is also called a sensory adaptation. When a receptor is given stimulus with uh, when the strength of stimulus is constant, and if you stimulate that receptor constantly continuously with the same strength of stimulus, then it will give response for some time. After some time, when you continue the stimulus, the response goes on decreasing. So this is known as adaptation. Third one is a response to increase in the strength of stimulus, or it is called as Weber-Fechner law. So according to this Weber-Fechner law, now if you want to, for example, if you give a certain strength of stimulus, and you will get a certain strength of response here. So here, if you want to double that response, if then you have to increase the strength of stimulus by 100 times. So this is called as Weber-Fechner law. Fourth property of receptor is sensory transduction. So according to here, in case of sensory transduction, so receptors they convert one form of energy into another form. For example, if there are Pacinian corpuscles are there, which are the receptors for pressure sensation. So pressure is a mechanical stimulus here. They convert this mechanical stimulus into an electrical energy, that is receptor potential. So they convert mechanical energy into electrical energy. One form of energy is converted into another form. That is why this property of receptor is called as sensory transduction. So sensory transduction means the receptors they convert one form of energy into another form of energy. This property is known as sensory transduction. Fifth property is receptor potential. So whenever a receptor is stimulated with a stimulus, so here some deformation will occur there in the central core, there in the receptor, the sensory nerve ending, because of which some depolarization will occur there. So that depolarization will produce the local electrical changes which are non-propagative, and they do not obey the all or none law. So this local depolarization which is occurring is known as receptor potential. Then the last property of receptor is law of projection. So according to this law of projection, so there will be a definite pathway from the receptor to the center for the any sensation, for any sensory nerve fiber. So here, if any area of any of this pathway is stimulated, if anywhere if this pathway is stimulated, the sensation will be felt at the site of receptor. The sensation will be felt at the site of receptor. So this property is known as law of projection. So there will be a definite pathway for sensory sensation. From receptor, the sensation will be carried through the sensory nerve to the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, the sensation will ascend upward. It will reach to the thalamus, and from thalamus, it will reach to the sensory area, that is parietal lobe. So there is a definite pathway for each sensation. So if any of this pathway is stimulated, the sensation will be felt at the site of receptor. So this property is known as law of projection. So this is about the properties of receptor and classification of receptor. Thank you.